before we get started, let's check out the links in my description. We all want nice things. We want the car, we want a house, we want a high limit credit card. But if you don't have at least a 680 credit score, you're not even in the game. So click this link here to know where you stand and get your free credit scores from all three bureaus. That will be Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. And also get your reports. If you would like to be free and become financially independent through entrepreneurship, click this link here to be free. If you'd like to get Cashback, which is a discount during shopping, please click this link here to see my favorite cashback sites. And if you enjoy the music you hear in the background, please click the link here and subscribe to It's Oasis. Hello everyone, welcome back to Community Wealth. Today we're going to be discussing the problem that we had with those sites, the broker sites like Womply and Blueacorn, and Blueacorn being the biggest. And I'm sure many of you have experienced this, as I know personally because I saw a lot of it within my comment sections when I was doing tutorials on how to sign up for these loans through these sites, mainly Womply. But before we get into this, if you would like to know your FICO scores and what's on your reports with all three of the bureaus, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, click the credit monitoring link in the description below. If you would like to make $500 to $1,000 plus per week on your time using your vehicle, click the Wealth Dasher link in the description below. Now, if you don't have a car or you don't want to use your own, click the Wealth Hire Car link in the description below, and that way you can still use the Wealth Dasher along with the Hire Car and still make $500 to $1,000 plus per week on your time. Like to know how I got 5 properties for $5,500? Click the Be Free link in the description below, then click Sign Up. Like to get cash back while shopping online? You can do so by clicking the Cashback links in the description below. Now, if you like that new MasterCard by Aspiration, it's the Aspiration Zero MasterCard. They're giving $300 back on your first $3,000 spend within your first 90 days of having the card. You can apply for the Aspiration Zero MasterCard by clicking the Aspiration link in the description below. Now, this article is kind of lengthy, so let's go ahead and get into it. Here it is. They promised quick and easy PPP loans. Often, they only deliver hassle and heartache. More than 1 million government-approved loans ended up being canceled, including some that would have gone to people who needed the loans and applied just as they were told. Yeah, this happened to a lot of people. And a lot of you who are doing these loans, if you experience this, go ahead and comment below, okay? All right, it says here. In May 2021, Terry Kilcrease thought he saw a lifeline. He was out of work, living in a hotel in Louisville, Texas, when he ran across a promising ad on Facebook. People who work for themselves, it said, could still get loans from the government's then 13-month-old pandemic Paycheck protection program. I saw a few of those ads. Actually, they had billboards, like on Expressway. Womply had billboards. I was like, dang, they really trying to get people to do this stuff. All right, but ours already doing mine, so, Kilcrease had just started selling credit card processing systems to small businesses in early 2020 before the pandemic killed much of the need for cash registers. He had thought he was eligible for the $800 billion program, but the ad, posted by a company called Blueacorn, I know many of you know them, convinced him it was worth a try. We've created a 60-second quiz that can tell you if you qualify and how much you can get, one ad promised. So Kilcrease registered on the Blueacorn site and answered a few basic questions about his business. Now, I know some people who got their loans through Blueacorn. Of course, as you know, if you've been following me for a while now, you know I got mine through Womply, and I promoted Womply heavily on here. But I did apply through Blueacorn. Of course, I got denied in 2020, but that was when they were still doing the net income. So of course I was going to get denied. But when they started doing the gross income, I went through several sites, and Womply was the one they went through on with no problem. With a few clicks of a mouse, I had applied, Kilcrease said. It was so quick he doesn't recall many details, Blueacorn checked for all required documents before passing along Kilcrease's approved application to a lender, Prestomas. Now, I don't know if you guys heard of Prestomas. I heard of them before. Soon after Kilcrease received loan documents from the Small Business Administration saying he'd been approved for a $4,790 forgivable loan, which he signed electronically in return, the money would arrive in his bank account within 10 business days, Blueacorn estimated. Kilcrease was relieved. As many of you were, I remember these stories. You guys were pretty much saying, hey, the money's supposed to arrive, and it didn't. But a lot of you were using those checking accounts, those online checking accounts. I forgot the name of them, but I can't think of this. It skipped my mind. But a lot of you were using stuff like Cashback, and it's another one. What's the other one people use? Chime. They were using Chime and Cashback, and so they were kicking those out. They weren't depositing stuff in there because there was a lot of people who were doing fraud was using those. They was kicking those out, and so now you had to go in and you got to change the bank account information, and that was causing problems. So that I do remember that going on. All right. So he goes on to say, it was everything I needed to get going, he said, just a little bitty bit. But the money never made it to Kilcrease, and it never appeared for hundreds of thousands of other applicants either. Again, I was reading those in the comments that it was happening. They were kicking the money back and all this other good stuff. Now, there wasn't much of a process. All right. It wasn't much of a process, and they talk about that here. ProPublica has been tracking PPP loans since the government first posted millions of them in July 2020. We kept updating our interactive database as the SBA disclosed more loan information. When the last round of the PPP closed in May 2021, we noticed something strange. The number of loans the government said it had made kept shrinking with every new release. By the time the SBA posted its latest update in late November, about 575,000 loans had disappeared, subtracted from an original total of 11.8 million. Most of them came through non-bank online lenders or banks that work with web platforms such as Blueacorn, which solicited and processed huge volumes of applications for small dollar loans in the final months of the program. When we checked with the SBA, they told us the total number of canceled loans actually topped 1 million. A sizable number of those were likely applied for by people who were attempting to defraud the program and didn't make it through additional screening. It's unclear how many, since the lenders we talked to declined to specify. But plenty of would-be borrowers were acting in good faith, and like many of you that was commenting in my videos, scores of them wrote into our tip line, perplexed that they had been listed as loan recipients since they had applied but never received any money. Many of you that happened to. Some of you to this day, you still haven't received any money. Okay. Now I remember that because I was trying to help you navigate through the thing and saying, hey, I contacted them, go through this email address, call this number. I did all of that. Some of you, it still didn't happen. Well, you might get an update from them, and then, I remember they kept updating the platform too at Womply. I'm talking about Womply per se. They kept updating the platform with new security measures and all that good stuff. They do constantly updating. All right. Now I'm gonna talk more about what happened with me personally with Womply on the other end. I got both of the loans. I got those on the other end after the fact. All right. This situation sounded a lot like Kilcrease's, a quick approval in spring 2021, followed by some kind of snafu, and then a months-long runaround from companies like Blueacorn, eventually resulting in no money after the lender the companies worked with withdrew its initial approval. All right. The phenomenon prompted the law firm Bailey Glasser to file a pair of lawsuits late last year against Prestomas and another Blueacorn client called Capital Plus Financial on behalf of people who had similar experiences. Prestomas has denied wrongdoing, and Capital Plus Financial declined to comment on pending litigation, except to say that the plaintiff was ineligible for a loan. This game of ping pong was maddening for prospective borrowers who had been told money was on the way, whether they were eligible for the program or not. It was also a hassle for lenders who never got paid for hundreds of thousands of loans they sent to the SBA, though they reaped billions for those that did get funded. And it likely could have been prevented if the SBA had required more screening on the front end before approving loans in the first place. Now that's true. I know personally a couple of people who were approved for loans of up to like $16,000, and next thing you know, they never got the money. All right, I remember that. All right, but anyway, that was like near the end of the program when it was about to end. So it's a whole bunch of mess going on at the end. Like when they had that deadline, it was a whole bunch of stuff happening by the end. It was just a bunch of mess. All right. SBA spokesperson Crystalline Solomon said that the agency delegated the responsibility to lenders which acted as agents of the government to approve and disperse loans. The SBA then assigned each loan a number which confirmed that the government would guarantee it. Loans were removed from the FOIA public data set because they were canceled by the lender, Solomon wrote in an email. Several 100,000 loans were also approved and then canceled before the SBA started publishing data on loans worth less than $150,000 in December 2020. Blueacorn said it worked hard to reach as many self-employed people as possible, but wasn't able to quickly obtain some information that would have been helpful in filtering out ineligible applicants. Prestamos, the lender to which Blueacorn submitted Kilcree's application, declined to comment on individual borrowers, citing confidentiality guidelines. But Prestamos said that a majority of its approximately 50,000 canceled loans resulted from borrowers not signing their loan documents. Now that was a problem too, because sometimes they wasn't even getting certain things where they had to sign, like they wasn't getting these DocuSigns and things like that. So it was a bunch of mess. It was a bunch of mess. Again, this was with Womply. I didn't work with Blueacorn once they denied me the first time. I never went back. And remember, that was when they was doing the net income. So when I did the gross, I was going through other platforms, right? And I finally got it through with Womply, of course. Kilcree's bank rejected the PPP loan deposit in early June, yet Blueacorn continued to assure him the money was coming. Don't worry, your funds are secure and you will be funded soon, a Blueacorn support worker wrote in a July message. Both management and engineering are working on a solution as we speak. Now see, that part right there, I don't know how to feel about that, because it's not like Prestamos and Blueacorn, or Blueacorn, Prestamos are working through Blueacorn. It wasn't like they didn't send the money. The money was actually sent. And his bank rejected it. So I would think you would have to go with your bank and say, hey, you know what? Y'all rejected this loan. I'm going to try to have them send it back through because y'all accept it. Or could y'all send them a message or whatever y'all can do to them to have them send it back where y'all can accept this money. Or if he had another bank account, he could probably do that too. But, that seems kind of odd. I can't see that Prestamos, because they got a lot of loans. Now, again, you got to, work individually with each person and say, hey, look, okay, I got you. Let me go back and do this. But at the same time, they have this rush period. There's so many applications coming through that he got to pay attention to. So in kind of a way, it's on his bank's back as well, because the bank rejected that. All right. So anyway, here's the letter. Hello, Terry. I see that you have still not been funded. We sincerely apologize for this delay. We understand that time is of the essence and how important it is for you to receive these funds. I took a look into what is going on and found that there seems to be a technical error that has caused you not to be funded yet. Don't worry, your funds are secure and you will be funded soon. Both management and engineering are working on a solution as we speak. In the meantime, I will follow up with any updates and you can reach out to me with any questions or concerns anytime through this ticket as well. Again, please accept our apologies. I assure you that we are working on it and want to see you funded as soon as possible. I can say this though, at least they got back to him. People were trying their best to get in touch with Womply, and Womply, for the most part wasn't, it was like they wasn't really, they wasn't really getting in touch with nobody. Even when they reached out to the lenders through Womply, it seemed like they wasn't really getting back to them like that. Again, it was a rush job. They were swamped. I can kind of understand. But, you got to get back to these people, especially when you were saying you're getting loans and all that good stuff. All right. But at least I can say at least Blueacorn did reach out to the guy. For weeks, not much happened. In August, Kilcrease got through to someone at Prestamos, the lender Blueacorn is working for. Remember I told you, so I was telling people to also get in contact with the lender because they're the ones with the money. She asked for his 2020 tax return, which documented $5,600 in gross income. Then emails showed she told Kilcrease he had provided conflicting numbers to Blueacorn and to the IRS, and his application would be formally denied. Okay, that kind of makes sense, but at the same time, he would have never had to send in that information if they would have got stuff straightened out, which they did send the money though. They did send it. So it was kind of on his bank as well, you know. Kilcrease said that he might have been confused about what information Blueacorn was initially asking for when he clicked a few buttons to apply back in May. But then, why would they have approved him in the first place and put him through months of hope, frustration, and disappointment? They saw a whole lot of profit in people like me, sole proprietors, said Kilcrease, citing the fee that lenders receive for successfully funding small PPP loans. They were given a hope, and it was just dashed with no remorse and no recourse for anybody. I can agree with that. The first round of the PPP, which kicked off in April 2020, mostly went to the largest small businesses, clogged by applications from companies big enough to have bankers and accountants. The $349 billion fund was exhausted within weeks. Yep, I remember that. Realizing the need among actual mom and pops, Congress authorized another $320 billion in June 2020. That round reached millions more Main Street type companies, coffee shops, hair salons, restaurants, real estate agents. By winter, the coronavirus recession was still hammering people who missed out on the earlier rounds. Congress authorized the lending of unused funds and added more, while the incoming Biden administration tailored the rules to help sole proprietorships and independent contractors. That's when financial technology companies, user-friendly websites with automated application platforms that often partner with lenders to supply loans, saw a big opportunity. They sure did. Told you, I saw those billboards and everything. In the earlier stages of the PPP, banks mostly served existing customers that already had documents on file, making it easy to process their government-backed loans. But as Congress pushed to include businesses on the fringes of the financial system, lenders had to deal with huge numbers of applicants they'd never assessed before. I remember Navy Federal was doing them too, but by the time I got a hold to them, they were done doing them. They often outsourced that task to websites. We'll call them loan processors that marketed PPP loans to the self-employed and other small businesses and performed the basic checks required by the SBA. The SBA paid a fee for each funded loan to the lender, which in turn gave a cut to the processor for finding and vetting a borrower. December stimulus package boosted fees up to $2,500 or 50% of small loans, whichever was less. Loan processors, which utilized aggressive social media outreach to people who had any kind of self-employment income before February 15, 2020, churned through millions of loan applications quickly. Now, with that $2,500, well, let's just go with the 50%, because he said his loan was for $4,700. Just imagine everybody getting 2 rounds, right, at $4,700. Let's just say that's what? Let's just say that's about what? $4,700, right? Because it's half of that. So you have $4,700 for each person, right? $4,700. Let's just go with the $50,000 that was denied. Let's just go with that number. So $4,700 times $50,000. You don't think they wasn't gonna kick their butts or kick down the doors and do all types of crazy stuff to get that money? $4,700 times $50,000. Let's just go with that. In an effort to keep barriers to entry low, the SBA required very little verification on the front end. Once an application was approved and assigned an SBA loan number, borrowers were forbidden from applying elsewhere, so loan processors had every reason to lock them in quickly. With few anti-fraud measures, said independent fintech analyst Jason McCullough, even if it meant dealing with verification questions later on. Which is what happened. So after some time you got approved and all of that, before you even get your money, you had to go through another verification process. That happened to a lot of people. It didn't really happen to me, but it happened to a lot of people. I went through all of my stuff kind of up front. With a second draw, I went through something a little different, but I still went through because, like I say, all my stuff was legit. I had all my stuff there. At the end of the day, if they end up rejecting someone for being suspicious, they're actually losing money, said McCullough, noting that building automated fraud models takes time and money, even under normal circumstances. there were no incentives in place to encourage these companies to be particularly careful about how they went about funding these things. An arms race followed. Fintechs competed for the self-employed, advertising their easy routes to quick, forgivable cash. Some said they employed rigorous verification tools following SBA approval, but Blueacorn was the one that got really lucky. By May 2021, the Biden administration had changed the rules again to prioritize loans made by community development financial institutions, which have access to special funding from the Treasury Department to support underserved populations. Blueacorn, which launched in Phoenix in 2020, happened to partner with two of them, Prestomos, CDFI, an arm of the nonprofit service group Chicanos por la Cosa, and Capital Plus Financial, the CDFI subsidiary of a larger holding company called Crossroads Systems. Those relationships allowed Blueacorn to keep lending through the end of the PPP on May 31, while other lenders were locked out. Yeah, Womply did the exact same thing. By the end, the two CDFIs appeared to have processed more than $15 billion in loans to 955,000 small businesses, nearly all with Blueacorn. That is a crazy number, right? Blueacorn declined to detail its fee split arrangement with banks and other vendors, but Crossroads Systems said in an earnings report that it had made approximately $930 million on the program, $606 million of which went to its loan processors. Crossroads also paid out a $40 per share special dividend as a result of what it called the windfall fee income, while keeping $120 million to reinvest in lower income communities. $930 million. Fintechs have positioned themselves as champions of the little guy, reaching truck drivers and dog walkers, especially people of color who have been overlooked by the big banks. The company's promises to get money to thousands of independent workers from underserved communities is broadly true, but also somewhat overblown. In May, June, and July, about 285,000 loans disappeared from the SBA's loan database. The companies that originally processed the loans told ProPublica there were a number of reasons why so many ended up canceled after having been approved by the SBA. Some appear to have been held up by borrower errors and second thoughts, but many cancellations were the result of the SBA's loose requirements for pre-approval screening, and I believe all of that. All of that is true. I saw it all in the comments. I saw it all. I was trying to help people through it. One of the largest sources of canceled loans was Biz to Credit. An online lender founded in 2007 withdrew about 115,000 loans after approving an original total of more than 300,000. A representative of the company, Crisis Communications consultant Michael Citrick, said that the company employed detailed underwriting protocols after submitting the loans to the SBA. Canceled loans, he said, resulted from a combination of applications determined to be fraudulent after further checks, people who didn't respond to additional requests for documentation, and people who voluntarily withdrew their applications. I believe Biz to Credit was one of the ones I did too. No, I did Smart Biz. It was Smart Biz I used. It was Smart Biz. Never mind. But I think I heard people talk about Biz to Credit. Lenders were required to stop fraud whenever they found it, Citrick wrote in an email. Given the sophistication of widely available document forgeries and other enterprise fraud, it was virtually impossible to detect fraud only by reviewing select documents prior to submission to the SBA. The pile of canceled loans also included about 30,000 made by an entity newly created by the lender Fountainhead, which prior to the pandemic had specialized in SBA-backed loans. Still, they had thousands of borrowers who didn't sign their loan documents and inexplicable cancellations by the SBA itself after the agency had approved loans and banks had paid out money. Yeah, I know people who dealt with Fountainhead. I know a lot of people that dealt with Fountainhead. Actually, they were one of the ones with Womply. I know a lot of you know about Fountainhead. I believe I knew a couple of people who actually, personally, I knew a lot of people personally who got approved through Fountainhead, I believe. I had to look at my emails and my text messages. On occasion, it would say duplicate tax ID discovered. I remember that. Yep, I remember a lot of that because they were applying for different companies, and so they apply to different companies, and they taking too long. They'd go to another website and apply there as well. On occasion, it would say duplicate tax ID discovered, said Fountainhead's Chief Operating Officer Michael Bland, referring to the SBA. Okay, well, what was your screening on the front end for? You went through your process and approved it. We closed it. I don't know why that might be an issue now. Last month, Blueacorn lending partner Crossroads System agreed to purchase Fountainhead for an undisclosed amount. Interesting. When the SBA posted its most recent database update the day before Thanksgiving, it had dropped another 294,000 loans. About 140,000 of them belonged to the two CDFIs that had primarily worked with Blueacorn, Prostomos, and Capital Plus, which accelerated their business in the 3 weeks after the program closed to regular lenders. In May alone, they approved at least 458,300 loans. At the peak of the program, Blueacorn said it had 300 people in the Phoenix area reviewing a deluge of loan applications. A quick scan of each one would usually lead to a quick sign-off by the SBA. Dang, this stuff is still going. This is a long article. I knew it was long, but dang. Okay, it's the last section. But sometimes, between approval and funding, Blueacorn will find flags of fraudulent activity like an improbable concentration of applications with very similar paperwork in a small geographic area. Hairdressers making more than $100,000 a year on the south side of Chicago, for example. I always got to throw Chicago in there. Chi-Town, what's wrong, my people? I love Chicago. Chi-Town for life. But y'all got to stop the nonsense. The processor will ask those borrowers for more documentation, and if they fail to provide it, cancel the loans. I'm just stuck on the Chicago thing. Stop picking on Chicago, everybody. I'm Chi-Town for life. Stop picking on Chicago like nobody else do it. Like nobody else do it. All right, I'm out here in Florida. I heard all types of fraudulent stuff out here. Stop picking on Chicago. I know Chicago got a bad rap, but there's a lot of good people from Chicago like myself. All right. Blueacorn said that thousands of loans it had approved and attempted to fund, meanwhile, were rejected by banks where applicants had savings accounts. Hold on, let me read that again. Blueacorn said that thousands of loans it had approved and attempted to fund, meanwhile, were rejected by banks where applicants had savings accounts. Some of the banks had run their own know your customer checks on the accounts and sent them back to the processors for additional verification. Others cut off fintech processors entirely if they seemed to be vectors for fraud, causing problems for those who are genuine. Okay, so there you go right there. Like I said, fraudulent stuff. You got to call in and talk. Towards the end of the program, the willingness of recipient banks to work with PPP lenders got worse by the minute, said Barry Calhoun, Blueacorn CEO. Eric Kinney is the Senior Vice President for Risk at Oxygen, a banking platform for small businesses. He said he saw so many people attempting to move PPP money into offshore accounts or into cryptocurrency assets that he blocked loan proceeds from 4 main PPP lenders. There are a couple lenders who we've said no to. We're not going to accept any more payments, Kinney said, declining to name the companies. A referral channel that has a high fraud rate on it. It's our job as a company to monitor that and block certain situations. Loan processors would try to work with borrowers and their banks to provide the requested information. If that didn't succeed, they had the option of putting the money on a debit card, but that required even more documentation from borrowers, resulting in an outpouring of angry posts on internet message boards like Trustpilot, the Better Business Bureau, Reddit, and Facebook. Now, borrowers who are approved but never received their money are plaintiffs in 2 lawsuits filed against the Prostomos CDFI and Capital Plus Financial last October and December, saying that the failure to fund the loans constitutes a breach of contract. In a motion to dismiss, Prostomos said that the loan document created no obligation to actually fund the loan, and a spokesperson declined to comment further on the case. Capital Plus Financial hasn't yet filed any responses, but told ProPublica that the sole named plaintiff had provided an illegible tax return that wasn't signed, which is why the company decided to revoke his loan. Blueacorn's Calhoun said much of the hassle could have been avoided from the beginning had the SBA allowed lenders to access more documents that would ensure the borrower was legitimate, creating a quick way for certified regulated loan processors to pull an applicant's tax records. For example, will have provided a hard check on who is eligible. That's true. The people can make up tax documents on the fly and send them to you. I mean, that's not good. Again, like with the SBA's EIDL, they had to pull a 4506T. Now, if they were able to do that with the lenders, pull a 4506T, they knew that the tax records were good. All All right, and that's why they would ask it for multiple years with tax records as well. So that would make sense why they would ask for that. A few adjustments would have gotten rid of a lot of lazy fraud, said Calhoun, because there was so much ambiguity. It encouraged a lot of people. This happened more smoothly in other countries where companies file federal taxes quarterly or even monthly, allowing the government to know their exact income without the need for lenders to request documentation that was sometimes difficult to verify. Instead, the SBA allowed applicants to file draft tax returns, which can easily be manipulated. Obviously, the whole experience left Terry Kilcrease feeling cynical. The big companies made out like fat cats. The lenders made out like fat cats. All these companies that already had plenty of money, Kilcrease said. The people like me who are struggling to get there were just completely forgotten about. Ooh, that was a long one. 30 minutes in. Man, that was long. But yeah, that's true. I can agree with that. All that stuff was, everything is true. Even on the side of these sites like Womply and Blueacorn, they had to, put their ducks in the row as well. So it could be a win-win, but at the same time, it could be a lose-lose. Because if the loan didn't get funded, they didn't get paid. If they fund the loan, they got paid. And it seems like a lot of loans that they funded get canceled anyway. So it was just a weird thing. So, so just think about it. You make a lot of money, but you make a heck of a profit, yeah, but just think about the money you did lose by people who got loans, and then the SBA said, no, we're not going to back that. We're not going to back that because that loan was bogus. But you already gave the person the money. See what I'm saying? So, I get it. But what y'all think about this? Again, if this happened to you, if you were promised a loan and you didn't get it, go ahead and comment in the section below. Let me know if that happened to you. But I know a lot of people happened to from before. And I know personally people in my circle that happened to. They were promised a loan and they didn't get it. But anyway, hope this information helped you out. Hope it brings back the experience. Hope you share your experience with us. And thanks for watching. If you would like to know your FICO scores and what's on your reports from all three bureaus, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian, click the credit monitoring link in the description below. If you would like to make $500 to $1,000 plus per week utilizing your vehicle on your own time, click the Wealth Dasher link in the description below. If you don't have a vehicle or you don't want to use your own vehicle, then click the Wealth Hire Car link in the description below. And that way you can hire a car and use that vehicle to then Wealth Dash and make $500 to $1,000 plus per week on your own time. If you want to know how I got 5 properties for $5,500, click the Be Free link in the description below. If you would like to get cash back while shopping online, click the Cashback link in the description below. Like, share the video, comment below, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to It's Oasis, and until the next video, let's get this money.